All right, hello, my name's Jason. I use he, him pronouns. We are here to play Escape from Dino Island, a game by Sam Roberts and Sam Tung. This is session 3 of 3. This is our finale. This game is part of the Gauntlet online gaming community. We're a bunch of gamers, play online from all over the world, and we play dozens of games every month. And if you're interested in playing online, you like our culture, watch some of our videos, check it out. Go to Gauntlet RPG on YouTube and check out our channel, hundreds of videos there. And you also can go to our forums on the web, gauntlet-rpg.com, and check out our policies and whatnot. And, check us out. Let's go around the table and introduce yourself with your pronouns and your character with their pronouns. And also tell us your playbook, your kind of like your one paragraph sketch of your character, and remind us and yourselves of what your new advanced move is that you just got at the end of last session. Okay? Let's start with you, Robbie. Tell us about yourself and your character.
My name is Robbie. I use he, him pronouns. My character's name is Jules, uses he, him pronouns. He is from the playbook called The Kid. Jules is a precocious young teen who a lot of people initially would wonder, what in the world is this kid doing on this expedition, as strange and dangerous as it is. But I think it becomes kind of apparent that Jules has some knowledge and some abilities that are somewhat remarkable. He has his Aunt Maggie, who is associated with a Navy SEAL group, who had kind of come here in advance, and that seems to also kind of come into play as to why he's on this expedition. And he took, for his advanced move, the good listener move, which gives some bonuses if somebody is trying to give him instructions. And he also has a basic move, which has not really been activated yet, but I think we might see that come into play, which is the I know this move, which will allow Jules to kind of demonstrate that he has some kind of crucial skill that nobody else possesses.
Right. I was saying offline to Robbie and Kyle that any moves that we haven't done yet, be sure to, overtly put your character in a situation where you want to use that move and, nudge me to let you use these moves. I want to see them all get used at least once. So thank you, Robbie. Let's Matthew, why don't you tell us about yourself and your character?
Yeah, so today I'll be playing Alex Morales, a paleontologist from the playbook paleontologist. She is someone with a connection to one of the important figures on the island, Dr. Professor, maybe both, Salvador Choi. And she and the rest of the group have been invited there, and it becomes apparent that when they arrive at the island and through their exploration, between the unusual weather and the fantastic, undocumented or unheard of species of dinosaurs, as something up is up going on in here. And when she and the gang encounter Aunt Maggie and Salvador, Maggie's got some suspicious going on with Jules, and Salvador impresses upon her the idea of eating him, but she's not taken in by it, and is flustered about why Salvador would willingly cooperate with this obviously paramilitary outfit.
And Matthew, you're pretty choppy to me, and it sounds like Robbie's getting a lot of echo. Do you want to start out maybe without your video? Good. Yeah, that might be a good idea. We'll see if it improves. I think we caught most of that, though. So let's move on to Kyle. Tell us about yourself and your character.
I'm Kyle, he, they. I'll be playing Jessica, the survivor, I believe. Yes, she was a low-level custodian on the island when the disaster went down originally and the dinosaurs broke loose or whatever. And she's been surviving on the island for the, weeks since then and would very much like to get off the island.
All right. And your new move, we were talking about it offline. What was it again?
Scrounger. I can roll to have some piece of equipment.
Okay. All righty. Let me kind of set the stage of our story so far. Robbie alluded to some of this stuff. So he has kind of followed his Aunt Maggie, a U.S. Navy captain who disappeared, found some clues that pointed him towards Salvador Choi and this island that you guys are now on, which we have named. What was the name of our island? It had two names. It is Crepusenia or Mesozonia. It is an island in the Mid-Atlantic, and basically, Jules convinced Salvador or Alex's mentor, this man, this eccentric paleontologist, Salvatore Choi, to send an expedition to this island and to allow Jules to come along. But he said Jules would have to kind of be in the follow-up group, that the initial group would go and then you guys would follow. And he appointed his junior assistant Alex to go with Jules, and originally Kyle was playing a soldier who unfortunately got consumed by dinosaurs. So you got to the island, you had some mishaps. Jessica, a survivor of CADCOR, saved you guys, took you to her hovel, and you found a way to get past the Deinonychus pack area, their territory, made your way to this CADCOR installation, which is like a huge, built into a hill, but it's like this large warehouse / lab / hatchery. And it sits beside this cliff. One interesting thing is that when you met Aunt Maggie, who came out to greet you when you arrived at this installation, Aunt Maggie looked like the sweet, motherly, beautiful figure that Jules knows her as, but she looks much different to the other two. She looks like a rugged, soldierly, hardened military officer to the other two guys. And when Alex kind of confronted her on, what's the deal, she quickly said a magic word, or it was a word in Latin, actually, and it caused Jules to pass out, fall asleep immediately. And Jules had some weird dreams and stuff that had other similar kinds of experiences, during our session at different points. So anyways, and then she kind of explained to the other two, that you should work together, made it clear that you need to get off this island, which meant getting up this cliff, because at the top of this cliff, there is a more sophisticated installation, which also includes a helipad and a radio tower. And she fixed Jules' arm. And what am I missing? Anything else important? I think Matthew, you were talking about, you had a bit of a disappointing conversation with Salvador Choi, in which Salvador made it very clear that all he really cares about is getting eggs off this island, and doesn't seem to have much interest in anything else. Any other key things that I missed that you guys want to put out there before we jump back in where we left off? Okay. Um, few other little tidbits that I'll throw back out there just to make sure they're in our minds as we play today. Um, there is a smuggler boat offshore that's there to wait for you, to hear from you guys, to take you off the island. So that's one possible escape route. You have found out a couple key things. You know that CADCore has been doing genetic research on this island, breeding dinos. You know that the dino, at least one of them you saw, and presumably more. I think actually Jessica told you that they all have this. They all have this tattoo, this CADCore logo tattoo on their heads. And it turns out that Jules also has the same tattoo. He doesn't know that, but I think it was Alex spotted it. This island is way too cold for dinosaurs or for the jungle foliage, but somehow they both are surviving and thriving on this island. This island, it seems to have constant roiling clouds, dark clouds roiling overhead with this flashing lightning, but very little precipitation, which is strange. And I think another key thing is that when Aunt Maggie, used this power word and had Jules fall asleep, he had a dream or a vision of a big, scary dinosaur filled with hate and aware of him somewhere in like a containment facility, but trying to bust out. And that sparked what we call the extinction event in this game, which is a 3-box clock, a 3-tick clock that is labeled the Xenosaur Escapes. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that clock as we go along. Briefly about safety. We're using the X card. If anything's uncomfortable, even if it's something that earlier in our play that you were okay with, but for any reason today it's just not going well for you, you're sensitive to it for any reason, that's okay. Just throw that X card on the screen. It's probably the best way to bring it to my attention. We'll rewind and we'll try to go past that material so that you can remain comfortable. We have lines and veils. We don't have anything on there, but if there's anything today you don't want to hear about, you absolutely don't want to see or hear about at all, you can put it in as a line or a veil. And enough about that. If you have any questions, of course, let me know. Let's get back into our play. So when we left off, Jessica and Alex had been outside with Aunt Maggie looking at this cliff, trying to figure out a way to get up this cliff. There is this platform that's, has chains that, go way up. There's 100 yards or 100 meters up this cliff. And this platform, you can stand on it. It should lift you up. There's like a crane up high on this top of this cliff, which presumably would lift you up. But for whatever reason, the controls to activate this crane are not functioning, at least on this ground level that you're on. So Alex and Jessica looked around and had spotted that there is sort of a path that this cliff isn't 90 degrees steep, so there's a little bit of an incline. So you might be able to sort of work your way, kind of go back and forth and work your way up this cliff relatively safely, at least until you get about halfway. And then it's clear that there's a section that is going to require some more serious sort of climbing, some more dangerous kind of climbing. And I think Alex had sort of handed Jessica this climbing pick that she had found early in our adventure, and kind of said, "Hey, how do you feel about climbing up to the top and activating this crane for us, and then everyone else can ride up." So I think that was sort of the plan that we had in play as we ended. And then Aunt Maggie had gone back inside, and she had been sitting at by the side of Jules when he awoken, and they had a conversation. you guys think if there's anything, and I think, Aunt Maggie had said, be sure to get a good night's rest. It's going to be a tough morning tomorrow. I think, we're going to get back to everybody kind of beside the cliff, about to make your ascent, but there's plenty of time if anybody wanted to have any scenes with NPCs or each other, or if there's anything you wanted to try to do over the course of, a good 12 hours or so before probably that time comes. Think for a second. Anybody jump in if there's anything they want to see or do.
I think Jules would want to have some conversation with Aunt Maggie. Jules, his heart has been warmed, kind of seeing her again, and she seems like she's okay, and she's just as he remembered her, charming, and yeah, she's a Navy SEAL, but she's also this charming member of the family that has had like a special connection. But I think Jules will want to know a little bit about what's happened on the island, and what happened to Maggie when she arrived on the island. How did she come to kind of land here, and what was her special mission about?
Sure. Let's kind of pick up kind of where we left off then. So you're in this sort of medical room, and she's holding your hand, and she has like a cold compress that she's, drawing across your forehead. And she says, well, I don't want to upset you, especially, since you're recovering from your wound. Let me just say, that the government sent us to explore this island, and unfortunately we were attacked by the dinosaurs, and she kind of like looks, and you see that she has like I don't know if you'd be able to see it actually, but she says, well, she's got like we'll say her clothes look, like fatigues or whatever. So, but she's like, I got really badly injured on my leg here, and it's taken a few weeks for me to feel like I can even move around, but I feel better now. And I think this island, we need to get out of here, and we need to let some people know what's going on here.
Well, and what exactly is going on here? I must say that, since the short time I've been on this island, there have been some, odd things that I've seen, and even more, right? There's some odd things that I've experienced. I mean, there's some things going on here that are not only strange, but I almost feel like, I don't know, that I have some kind of connection to them. Like, when I first came onto the shore, I saw this dinosaur, and it was like, just, shortly before then I had been kind of looking on the internet, and I saw it, right? I mean, like, what are the odds of that kind of coincidence, that I would be kind of looking at something, just almost a few minutes prior to landing, and then there it is.
She looks away, and she kind of rubs her face, and she thinks. She goes, look, there's a lot more going on here than even if I told you, you wouldn't even believe it. And in fact, your mind wouldn't even let you hear what I said. Jules, you're a special kid, and you have a connection to this island. And she says some words, and your mind, it doesn't register. It's like you're reading a book, but you're tired, and like you read a paragraph and you have to go back and read it again, and you can't go back because she just said it. And she says some things, and then she says, you need to get back, but you can't go back home, and you can't go to my house. Neither of those places are safe. They're not even really what you think they are. Look, she grabs a piece of paper and she scribbles down like a login and a password, and she says, and she writes down like a website, and she says, when you get back, buy a new computer, find a computer that has no connection to anything else, and go to this website, go to this login, and there will be a new identity for you. There will be money. There will be the location of a safe house. That's where you should go, and that's who you should be.
Jules kind of takes the website and the password and says, okay, I trust you, but, well, I need to process, that I'm in danger, that, I know this CAD core, industry, this business is kind of into something that is far beyond simply, I don't know, trying to do a little kind of bring back the dinosaur stuff. I've seen that in the movies, but this is, I know that there's something really big going on here, but I don't know. A new identity.
Jules, did you ever think it's funny that you never even think or talk about who your parents might be?
Yeah, and I think that has to kind of set in on Jules, that he's like, yeah, well, I don't really know who they are. In some ways, Maggie, you've been, I don't know, you haven't been like a parent, but I guess maybe it's because you have such an exciting life or something that, I always think about you.
And she says, Jules, listen carefully. I'm not who you think I am. And just for a moment, you see her as she truly is. And then it switches back again. She says, I've done some bad things, and I don't want any bad things to happen to you or anyone else that comes from this island.
Well, I don't understand everything, but one thing I do understand is that, Maggie, that you love me. And I've always known that you've loved me, and that, you would always make sure that you do whatever you could to make sure that I was okay.
If you get away, when you get away, get safe, you'll start to remember and realize the truth in time, okay? The things that I've done to you will wear off. I promise. And then things will make sense. But you need to get off this island. And you need to stay away from the government. You need to stay away from CADCore. You need to become someone else and disappear.
Yeah, and I think with that, I think Jules is confused. But one thing he's not.
Oops. So we lost Matthew. Oops.
I don't think he says anything, but just kind of gives Maggie a big hug at that point.
Right. Okay. Let's cut there then. Anyone else have any scenes or chores or anything they wanted to do overnight? All right. Let us move then. You all three of you get a good night's rest. Jessica has another big plate of rice with sriracha, and we will pick up in the morning with the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of you standing before this cliff, looking up at the dark, roiling clouds overhead, those flashes of lightning, and this tall 100-meter high cliff. And you can just, you can see up there that this crane arm that juts out in this long chain that comes down that raises this platform, and this cliffside, which, like we said, at least part of the way you can kind of bit of a footpath, kind of work your way up, a rough natural footpath, I suppose. And Aunt Maggie is got her military garb on. She's got a real big, bulky backpack, which you can kind of see in the picture. And Salvatore Choi has more civilian version of it, but he also has a really big backpack, which seems to be packed full of something. And as Alex suggested, Oscar Isaac is our actor in our film, playing Salvatore Choi. Looks a little older in our picture and than he usually does in his films, but he's our eccentric xenopaleontologist. And Jessica, unless you or someone has an alternate plan, I think it's that moment where you start to work your way up this cliff. Does that work for you, Kyle?
Works for me.
Okay. One moment. Okay. So Jessica starts to move up this cliff, and like I said, this first section, the first half hour or so of her climb is uneventful, and you're exerting quite a bit of energy. It's not easy, but it's pretty safe. And Jules, as you guys are standing there watching Jessica, you have another one of these out-of-body experiences where, again, you're seeing yourself and the others through the eyes of someone or something else. And again, it's this perspective is from way above, up in the air, and moving around, and these looking down, and you get this sense that this person or thing is really interested in this figure moving up this cliff. Okay. And then your vision comes back, your consciousness returns to yourself, and Aunt Maggie sees you instinctively kind of looking up, and she's like, and you think you saw like a flash of movement, but then it's gone, like up in the sky, like of a bird, but a real big bird. And Aunt Maggie says, are you okay, Jules? You seem concerned.
Jules says, well, since I've been on this island, I've had, I mean, I guess you might call them visions, but I'm not really a religious kind of, kid. I mean, that's I mean, I've studied enough to kind of be a little skeptical of, all that kind of visionary stuff. But I've had these kind of odd, kind of out of body kind of moments where I don't know if I'm hallucinating or if, there's something going on with this island that's tapping into me or something like that. But I don't know. I maybe I'm just being paranoid, but I feel like there's something watching us. And I've had these other experiences where I feel like we've been watched, or where I'm just kind of seeing other things that are going on around us.
She puts her hand on your shoulder. She says, "No, you're not imagining it. You're special. You have a connection to this place and the dinosaurs." And she kind of says, stay close to me. And she starts scanning the sky also, and she has sort of her rifle up at the ready. And Salvatore Choi comes up to you, Alex, and Salvatore, he's like, Alex, you sure I can't get you to carry an egg or two? These things are heavy. Come on, co-author.
No.
He puts the pack
No,
down.
no.
Okay. He opens it up and he goes, "Oh, all right, fine."
I'll be candid with you, Jason. I'm trying to figure out a way for this to work dramatically. The character will flat out refuse.
Sure. That's fine. That's perfectly dramatic. Okay. All right. So, Jessica, I think you've reached that section now where it's going to be dangerous. Now it's steep. There's there's some rough handholds. There's spots where you can dig in that climbing axe you have, but it's going to be difficult. What's your technique, or what does it look like? How do you go about trying to get up this cliff face to the to the top?
Lots of testing holds and ungainly scrabbling.
Okay. All right. Let's see. That sounds like, I think this is going to be hold on to your butt. This is a basic move when you rely on sheer physicality to power through difficulty or ignore a debilitating injury. Roll plus fit. So, Jessica, what is your fit? Okay.
+1.
Go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your fit then. Nine. Okay.
That's a 9.
On a 7 to 9, you succeed, but you're exhausted. You're going to take -1 on your next roll with fit. Make a note of that. I will also Jessica.
All right.
-1 on next roll of fit. And you scrabble and huff and puff, and living in the wild for the last month has probably gotten you be in pretty good shape. I mean, you're probably underfed, which probably means you're lighter than you were before, which in this situation probably works to your benefit. You're probably all wiry muscle at this point, and you pull yourself up up over this cliff, or up over the lip onto the top of this cliff, and there's there's a thin area between the cliff and this large building, this large It's probably the building. Let me see. What is it? I got a picture, not of. Well, hold on. Let me guess the picture. And then, so the building is roughly like this. So it looks like kind of like concrete blocks that have been put together. And this glassy sort of atrium, you don't see. It's just sort of like a wall of concrete blocks in front of you. But there is a steel doorway that leads in, like large double doors. And you see that it's ajar, that you could walk right in. One of these doors is slightly ajar, and kind of jutting over the cliff is a concrete platform that this large crane, that has like a cab that you climb up into to control the crane, is sitting there. And and if you were to work your way along the lip, this thin gap between the cliff and this building, you could kind of move around the building to the other parts of this plateau at the top of this cliff. What do you do now that you've reached the top? You're breathing heavy. You grab a sip of water, but beyond, what do you do next?
I guess I head over to the controls.
Sure. The crane?
Yeah.
Okay. So you climb up in this crane, and I think, from your work as a landscaper and working in the fields and the jungle and stuff, you've probably driven around some bulldozers and whatnot. So I think you have enough of a background to try to start this thing up and try to make it function. So this move is called Just Do It. When you do something you can usually do easily, like this crane, I'm going to say it's under pressure in the sense that you're not terribly familiar with this one. Say what will happen if you mess up, then roll plus steady. So what do you think will happen if you miss?
I don't know, honestly. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Anyone else have an idea, Alex or Jules, of what might happen if if running this crane goes bad?
If running this crane goes bad, maybe it swings over. I'm not sure. Like it
Yeah, I like
overshoots the angle. Yeah.
Right. So maybe instead of smoothly bringing this platform up, you swing it around, or it's juddering or whatever, which
Hit something, startle some dinosaurs.
Or that could always happen too. Yep. All right. So having seen, you see Jessica get up to the top, maybe gives you a thumbs up or something. I presume the rest of you guys all load onto this platform, and imagine it's like a flat, like steel wiring platform with like just a little bit of like guardian rail around it. It's big enough for you all to stand there, but of course it's not terribly safe. But as long as everything goes smooth, you should be able to ride smoothly to the top. But anybody want to have any special way they are on this platform, or just load on in and see what happens?
I think Jules. He's interested in ascending here, but I think Jules is just gonna. He's not even gonna stand on the platform. He's just gonna kind of go prone and hold on, right? Thinking that would be the safest way to kind of take the transport.
And Salvador Choi, he gets right up to like where the chain attaches to it, or like I guess it's probably like a big heavy chain, and then it sort of like has 4 smaller chains that go to each corner. So he goes like grass onto one of these chains, and he's got like his pack in front of him, and he's huddled down on the ground. And Alex, you hear him sort of like muttering nervously, like that song that he was singing last time. What was it again? I meant to go back and listen to it, but I didn't.
It was Dua Lipa's Physical.
Okay. We throw that up in the chat. I'll listen to it sometime, so it'll fill in the gap of the narrative for me.
Okay.
So Jessica, you get in there, you start this thing up, it rumbles, some smoke billows out, but you feel like, okay, if I pull this lever here and push this button, should be smooth and go well. So we're going to do just do it. Roll plus steady. What's your steady?
-1.
Okay.
I got a 6.
Okay. On a 6, as we said, it's going to. So you hit a button, or you pull a lever, and instead of it being, it started to rise, and everything's fine, and for whatever reason, it sort of stalls out, so you have to restart it. So you start it back up and you pull the levers again, but maybe a lever that before you thought just did nothing, but you thought, or maybe it was like you thought it was the clutch or something. Instead, it was the release. So you pull this lever and the whole thing like shudders and drops like 5 or 10 meters. And you put it back into place real quick. But now this thing's swinging back and forth. And to make things worse, why not double down? To make things worse, this large bird-like dinosaur, although my 9-year-old son will always remind me that pterodactyls and their types are not dinosaurs. They're flying reptiles. So that I don't get in trouble with him, we will call it a flying reptile. One of these, they're called Quetzalcoatlus. They're these giant, they always describe them as the size of small planes. I should have a picture that has more of a scale. Actually, if you guys look in the handouts under Dinos 2, I think it is. Yeah, Dinos 2. They're the pterosaur. It has like its scale compared to a human. So one of these is drawn by this frenetic action, and it starts to fly and try to like pursue this swinging platform as it goes back and forth. Alex, what do you do? This huge Quetzalcoatlus is trying to catch the platform and pick someone off of it, probably.
Let's see. Let me hold on for a moment and think about that, because I want to see if my new move applies.
Sure.
No, it doesn't. So what? I guess I'll try to distract it away from the crane. Right? It's going for the crane, am I right?
Well, it seems to be drawn by the crane, but now it sees that there's these tasty little tidbits on it. So it seems to be trying to catch the crane, but not the crane. It's trying to go for the platform. So it's trying to figure out all you guys on this platform. So as you're swinging back and forth, it's sort of swooping in and trying to like grab one of you guys. And then it's so huge, it can't really like stop in midair necessarily. So it kind of does these swooping passes, and then it flies by, and then it swings around and it comes back again.
All right. So I'm just going to take Jules and Maggie are with us. Who else is with us?
Let's see. There's Jules and Maggie. There's Salvador Choi and you.
All right. Well, I'll take Jules and Salvador's hand and sort of run.
You're not at the top. You're still like halfway up. There's nowhere to run, actually.
Oh, okay.
You know what
We're
I mean?
in the damn thing already. Okay,
Right,
okay,
you're on the
so-
platform. You're like 50 meters up in the air, which unfortunately is only about halfway, and you're swinging on this crane, this platform connected by a big chain to the crane. Another 50 meters up.
Mm, whew, whew. You know what? Oh God, I hate this. If Salvador or Maggie have a weapon, I just snatch it from them,
Okay, so you're gonna
and
grab.
I try to fight the thing, but the flying reptile by shooting at it.
Okay, so I think what happens then is Maggie like instinctively goes to like try to like protect Jules and make sure he's not going to slide around, and her gun sort of like as it swings up, and it creates an angle, her gun
Yeah.
slides down the platform, and you reach out and grab it and you pull it up, and I guess you're going to take some shots at this thing. Alex, this is a move called fight. When you fight for your life, roll without a bonus or +1 if you have a weapon. So you definitely have
All
a
right.
weapon. So you're just going to roll at +1. It doesn't even use a stat. You just roll and add 1.
All right. 2d6. Let's see. And 2d6. There we go. Rolling the dice adds to 7 plus 1, 8.
Okay. All right. On a 7 and 9, let's see. So on a hit, you buy precious moment for someone to help you. On a 7 and 9, you choose one. This is the choices are you aren't injured, or you injure the enemy. So you have a choice. You can either injure this thing, or you can avoid being injured yourself.
I will injure the thing. I'll take the
Yeah.
injury.
Okay. So you go bang, 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 bang with this assault rifle, and it has a ton of kick on it. You hit it, you pierce through its leathery wings, and it has this horrible screech, and it peels away and flies off into the distance. But this assault rifle has a huge kick on it. This platform is swinging around, so you go flying down. You bang your head really bad, and you're going to have an injury. We're going to give you a concussion. Okay.
All right.
So make a note of that. You have an injury of a concussion.
Let's life
So
it
you
out a
see
little
stars. And remember, when you get an injury, it doesn't have any mechanical effect, although I can bring it back to sort of use against you in the future. But if you get a second injury, then you have the casualty move. That's where you either have a heroic death or you're knocked out of commission for the rest of the adventure. So we'll say at that point, Jessica, you've sorted out, it stops to swing so much, the inertia, fades, and this thing evens out, and you've figured out the mechanics, and you pull it the rest of the way to the top. And, Maggie, helps you up, Jules, and you each step off this platform onto this thin lip. Outside, it's the crane, where the crane brings up this platform is sort of right next to where these double doors are that lead into this big building. Jules, what do you think you do at this point?
I think at the earliest possible moment, Jules gets off that platform. and once he lands, he's probably down like with his hands, also feeling terra firma, there, and looks back at Maggie, but I think concerned about Alex, and yells, make sure that Alex is off, and kind of once he gets onto terra firma, we'll go up to Alex and say, are you okay? if it wasn't for you, we would have. Well, at least one of us wouldn't have made it up here alive. I mean, that pterodactyl dinosaur was, certainly gonna, kill at least one of us or take us off.
And Jessica is there, and she says she takes the rifle from you, and she checks it, and she goes, "Good shooting, Tex. You all right?"
But you mean Maggie? Maggie does that?
Yeah, whoever I said. Maggie says to Alex, "Good shooting, Tex. Are you all right? It looks like you hit your head pretty hard there." And she offers to take a look at it. She has had some medical she fixed Jules' arm earlier, so she clearly has some medical skills.
I wince, but I'm in no position to refuse because
Sure. And she brings out like a little like pen flashlight, and she flashes it in your eyes, and she has you look up and look to the side, and has you recite the numbers 1 to 10 and then backwards, and then she says 3 letters and then asks you to repeat them after a few minutes. She gives you this whole like checkup. Meanwhile, Salvador Choi has come over to you, Jessica, and he's got his bag in his hand, and he says, "There's only 3 in here. It's your fault. It's your fault. One of them must have fallen out. Do you realize how valuable that thing is? And now it's gone forever. It's all your fault." He's up in your grill, Jessica.
How tight a hold does he have on the bag?
Not too tight. He seems more interested in cussing you out.
I kind of want to grab it from him.
Okay. I don't know if that's even a move. Let me check real quick. Nah. I think sure. You grab it, and he goes, "No. I'm sorry. Please let me have it back." Okay.
I toss the eggs over the cliff.
He goes to reach for them, and he can't reach them. He falls to his knees, and his head is in his hands, and he sobs. He goes, "Oh, we have to go back down. We have to get more eggs. Maggie, we have to go back down." And she just ignores him. He goes, "Annabeth, we have to go back down. Go do the crane. I'll go back and get some more eggs." He's looking at you, Alex.
Sal,
Sal's looking at you, yeah.
Yeah, Sal. What do you think? Do you think the more times you ask me, the more I'll change my mind? I said no.
Oh, well, I guess I can come back to the island, I guess, later. He's defeated. He's a mess at this point. Okay, so Maggie says to you, Alex, he says, "Well, I think you have concussion. You're going to have one hell of a headache the rest of the day. And, you might be dizzy. Be careful. If you feel faint, sit down. But there's nothing I can do for you right now. We got to get off this island. There should be there's got to be a way out of here. I know there's a helipad. There's a radio station here somewhere. We got to get inside." And she looks at the sky. She says, we need to get inside, though. There might be more of those giant pterosaurs." And she starts to walk towards these double doors. And she kind of leads you along, Jules, gently.
Well, yeah, I think Jules is inclined to kind of follow her lead. I mean that. So this will be just doors going into this big building that's at the top there. Yeah. Looking around, do I see any antenna or something indicative of this being a radio tower here?
No, where you guys are, your perspective, like I said, you're like there's just this thin amount of land between the cliffside and this building. So like when you look up, you just see this wall of this building. You can't really see like the top of it from where you're at. And like I said, the building's pretty long, but it does seem, off to the left or the right, it does look like you could go around, into the rest of this plateau if you kind of went along this cliffside, along the side of the building. But Maggie is saying we need to get inside. So she's going for these doors, which I said are ajar.
I mean, I think Jules would be inclined to go with what Maggie says. I mean, that right, Aunt Maggie, she always seems to know what's best. She's been on this place before, so I think Jules will kind of follow her lead.
Right. Okay. Is everybody slide along, or anybody have a different idea? So I think everybody heads on in then. I think Salvador will he's hanging his head. He kind of shuffles along. He's the last to come in. And you guys move into a large, it's very dark in here, but it's clearly a large, tall room. And you get a little bit of light from the doorway. Maybe on the other side of this room that there's some windows that are allowing in a little bit of light, but in the middle of this huge room, it's very dark. There's not a lot of light showing, but there are, in the darkness, you can see a lot of large structures, and the ones they're all throughout this big room, but the ones that are closest to you, you can see that there's some sort of large glass cylinders. Okay, and sort of around these cylinders are like chairs and there's like a computer sitting on a table up against one of these glass cylinders, and you can also see that there are shadowy doorways or openings to either side in this large room. And like I said, you can tell that this room goes on for quite a while. You say 50, 100 yards, maybe you'd guess. And there are large windows on the far side of this huge room that are some light is shining in. And the far side of the room, just to make sure it's clear to everybody, that would be deeper into this plateau, away from the cliff. Maggie says, stay here, stay out of trouble. I need to do something. She says, Jessica, can I get your help for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
And she kind of leads you along towards one of these openings off to the side. We'll pick up with you guys in a minute, but what does everybody else want to do while you're standing here in this room?
Okay, so it has these cylinders, and you said that there are chairs around the cylinders?
Yeah, from where you're at, you can tell they're like these large glass cylinders. Like we're talking like probably a good 10 feet high, about 6 feet wide, circular, cylindrical. But there are like a workstation. Each one has sort of like a workstation with some sort of computer sitting in front of it. It's all dark. The computers are off, but each one of them, and you can tell that there's a lot of these cylinders, but you can't see them very clear. Only the ones closest to you can kind of see because of the light coming in from the open door.
I think what Jules would do is, like with those somewhat open door, can I get them open a little bit more to get more light into the room?
Sure.
I mean, I think what he'd be inclined to do then would be to open that a little bit more and walk towards one of the cylinders, and also ask Alex, like, what are these? Have you seen something like this before? And then try to get a closer look at the.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a good opportunity to. You're certainly going to learn some things regardless, but let's see. Kind of, I think scavenge might be a good fit here. So, Robbie, does Jules want to tell a story to Alex as you guys start to look at this stuff?
Yeah. I need to look at what I have left for my list. Um, um, let's see. Okay, I'll this will be amusing because of what Maggie just was asking me about my parents, but I can tell a story about the most annoying thing that your parent does. And I think actually that the right, Jules doesn't have much memory of his parents, but like I think that that's the annoying thing that he finds about his parents is that, you know, my parents are such, you know, they there's no spark to them, and you know, I'm interested in kind of exploring the world, and here's my Aunt Maggie who's going off and doing all of these kind of, you know, exciting and brave things, but you know, my parents, I can hardly even, you know, I don't really have much to say about them because they're such just kind of, they're just so bland.
And Alex, you realize that his description of his parents is an exact copy of the parents from an American television show. And Matthew, I don't know if you know many American like television shows that have parents, but if you do, what show do you think it might be from?
Well, if you're going to extreme, you know, I think of like the Brady Bunch, Leave It to Beaver,
Sure.
the Honeymooners.
Sure. So yeah, it's one of these classic American TV shows, and it's like to the appearance, that maybe even the names of his parents. It's clearly something's wrong here. So yeah, that's what he's describing. So that's real cool. So you roll plus clever.
They have the personality of cardboard.
Right.
All right. So I got a 7. I think my clever is a +1, I think. Okay. So that would make it, let me just make sure. Yeah, +1. So it's an 8.
Right. You find something handy, but you make a lot of noise. You can pretend no dinosaurs heard you if you want. So I think what happens is you open this door up, and it shines more light, and you see that these cylinders, these glass cylinders, have some sort of fluid inside, and there's some sort of like life form creature inside these fluid filled cylinders. And you know, Alex, I think Salvador Choi is fascinated, so he certainly moves closer, and you know, maybe you guys more carefully move forward, but he moves forward. And when he moves forward, the cylinder, these lights, these green lights sort of surrounding at the base of this cylinder light up, sort of like motion censored lights. They light up and they illuminate this cylinder. And you see that it's this, I have a picture, but the people inside and sort of the details of this is more just for feel. The actual details don't match what we're seeing, but the cylinder lights up, and you see that there's these dinosaur humanoid figures. There's some sort of like, and I think Alex, you would recognize that these are not humans. They're not dinosaurs. There's some sort of weird mutated fusion of the two, and you would probably know enough. Probably maybe you find something handy. I think the thing you would realize is that these are some sort of genetic experiments, but they're failures. Like these creatures could not have. They wouldn't have been viable. They would have, died. They couldn't survive unless they were, under some severe medical care for their entire miserable, painful lives. And yeah, and Alex is like, is this the room of Ripley's? I think, was that Alien Resurrection? Is that what it is? Yeah, where they have, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but there's a room full of where they try to mix the xenomorph and the Ripley's genetics together to create a super Ripley, and there's a lot of the failures in this room. So yeah, that's definitely that kind of feel is what we're looking for. And I think Alex, you see one that reminds you of Jules. What is it about it that reminds you of Jules? And Jules maybe doesn't see it, but you see this one of these cylinders reminds you of this boy.
Are they moving?
No, they're dead.
Okay. I would say that there's sort of like the soft. You know how you can have sort of like baby downy fur on a human skin.
Right.
That's they're kind of like that, and it's all over the bicep and underneath the arm, and going from, let's say, the ribs going backwards. It's all the same color as Jules' hair.
Yeah, maybe Jules, maybe you have like a striking hair color. What do you think your hair color might be that it matches this?
I think that Jules has. I think it's because like Jules has a kind of. I mean, by and large, a kind of just a kind of standard brown hair, but he has like these streaks of kind of light brown that kind of are periodically there. Kind of strange, right? That it's he has this kind of variation in hair color that shows up.
Right. And like I said, Jules, you haven't seen this. I mean, Alex sees it, and maybe there's this, this dramatic note in the score of our movie. When you recognize this, and the viewers recognize it also. Jules, you're looking at another cylinder, and you and Salvador Choi are looking at this other cylinder, and he like yells out. He goes, "I told you, Annabeth. Aliens and dinosaurs mated and created these mutated super dinosaurs, just as I wrote." And Jules, you see that this one you're looking at, it looks a lot like a Deinonychus is in there, but then it moves and blinks its eyes, and you realize that it's not in the cage; it's behind the cylinder. And that's where we'll take our break.
Yay!
So I'll see you guys in 10 minutes. All right. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll finish up. All right. Everybody ready? All right, so it's going to be one exciting moment after another now. Well, one more little quiet moment maybe. So Jessica and Maggie had gone off down one of these side rooms, and Maggie pulls out a flashlight from her, like the side of her pack, this big heavy pack of hers, and you see that this room has all kinds of machinery in it, and there's a huge tank, and it smells of oil maybe in here. And Maggie, she kneels down, she pulls off this big pack, and she pulls out this big metallic box looking thing with all kinds of buttons and stuff on it. And as she's pulling this out and starting to push some buttons and stuff, she says to you, so Jessica, I think if you get off this island, the company is going to come for you. They're not going to want anyone to know anything about what happened here. You're not going to be safe.
I figured.
She says, I can help you if you're willing to help me. I don't think I'm going to leave this island. I need someone to look after Jules. I could promise you a new identity, a new life, lots of money. Would you take care of Jules for me?
What kind of taking care of are we
Keep him
talking
safe.
about?
Keep his secret safe. I'm sure you realize he's special.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
I think that's going to have to be good enough for me, right? So she takes out this thing, and she takes it and she like puts it on this big tank, and it seems it's like magnetized, so it sticks. And she pushes a button, and it starts to have this red light beep, and blink. And she pulls out like a little handheld, like little controller with a big red button on it. And she says, okay, nobody can know what happened here. When we get off this place, I'm going to blow this place up.
All right. Well, let's move fast then.
And then, of course, we hear the yelling of Salvador Choi from out in the main chamber. Let's cut back to there. So, Jules, you're a few feet at most away from this Deinonychus as it stalks out from behind this glass cylinder. You and Salvador Choi are both there, and Salvador is like screaming and like trying to back away. What do you do?
I think I'm gonna activate my move I've been keeping in reserve. The I know this move, and I think we could call this move the Dinosaur Whisperer move. And I think the way I'm thinking about this is that, okay, we know that there's some special connection that Jules has to the island, and it has something to do with like DNA manipulation. And that this move is especially powerful when he's been able to actually acquire some dinosaur DNA into his own system. And we know there are two dinosaurs that have injured him, right? That the Deinonychus did early on. And so he would have gotten a little bit of like the skin of the Deinonychus in that wound. And then he also has the birds, the Ambipteryx, right? Birds that also, there was one that landed on him and scratched him. but I think with this Deinonychus that there's something about like the dinosaur kind of realizes that kind of, I guess the Deinonychus maybe mistakes Jules and starts to think that Jules is a Deinonychus on some level, right? Kind of realizes that there's some affinity there that Jules has that he can leverage.
That's super cool, right in track with our lore, and makes total sense to me. So when you use this move to do what you're trying to do, you roll the Just Do It move. And the Just Do It move says when you do something you can usually do easily. So in this case, sort of like mind control, sort of this Deinonychus to get it to see you as a friend is basically what you're aiming for here. Or see you as part of the pack. You're doing it under pressure for sure, because you also realize as you're doing this, you feel this connection, but there's another connection to it also. That malevolent evil force also is influencing this Deinonychus. So you're battling against that. Say what will happen if you mess up.
If I think if I mess up, what happens is I don't think it's outright aggression, but I think you've got a very confused Deinonychus on your hands. One that, you know, that there's something that just kind of short circuits in the brain, and it's going to behave in some kind of, you know, it's going to be kind of flailing around and very highly disoriented. Deinonychus is what you're going to end up having, which is potentially very dangerous, right?
Right. Okay. Let's roll them dice and see what we get. You're rolling plus steady.
Right. So. And I think I have a plus. Do I have a +1 steady? Because I got a 9, and to go back to my, yeah, and I have +1, so it's a 10.
All right, great. Let's see, on a 10 plus, you pull it on a hit, you pull it off. 7 to 9, okay, no complications. So you indeed you feel this. You know, before we described you had this sort of warm connection to the bird-like dinosaurs. This is more you're asserting your will. This is more of an adult kind of strong, aggressive feeling you're using to grasp hold of this connection with this dinosaur, to push away this other influence, and to convince it that you indeed are one of its pack, and a high-ranking member of the pack at that. It is, I'll give you this, think about it. I'm going to jump over to Alex, but I'm going to let you give it a command that you think a highly intelligent Deinonychus could follow, okay? You'll be able to send this message to this thing. Alex, you see this happening also, and you hear the doors behind you get slammed open, and you see two other Deinonychus are starting to try to move in through these doors. They're maybe 20, 30 feet away from you. What do you think you do?
Let's see. Maybe I can scurry and hide along with the rest of the gang. I'm not. Yeah. Sure.
I think you probably, to hide, you'd probably want to go into the dark and toward deeper into the building, right? Or deeper into this big room.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that sounds like hide. When you hide from a predator, say where you are hiding and roll plus clever.
Well, I think we agreed where, so roll plus clever. Yeah. Clever being +2. See, 2d6 +2. Did that roll?
It did. You got 4, and your clever's +2.
6.
I think the math is foreboding here. So you hear this tremendous roar. All of you hear this roar, like the building kind of shakes a little bit. It's from outside somewhere, and I'm going to advance our clock. The Xenosaur escapes. I'm going to put in a marker here on box number 1. Let's see, freehand. We'll do it in red. That's scary. And we'll make it big. Here we go. All right. Box number 1 on the Xenosaur escapes is marked. And let's see, on a miss surprise, it's right on top of you. So there we go. That tells us. So you move to go further into the building, and guess what you run into?
Another one.
The mother, the pack leader, is lurking in the darkness, and you come face to face with it. At that very moment, Maggie bursts into the room, presumably with Jessica, and yells, "Get out of here! Get to, find a way off the island. I'll hold them off." And she brandishes her gun. Jessica, you probably see in this weird green light from these cylinders, you see Jules sort of having this standoff with one of these Deinonychus, who strangely, it doesn't seem hostile. It's close to him. Sort of they're standing in this quiet moment almost. Jules, you don't see any sign of, and Salvatore Choi is sort of, he turns and starts to run towards the two of you, you and Maggie. What do you think and you see 2 other Deinonychus are coming in through the doorway, probably about 40 feet away from you. What do you think you would do?
Are you asking me? It looks like they're not attacking for some reason, so I'm just gonna try to let's move slowly without turning our backs and just get a door between us.
I think that room you just came out of didn't have any exits. It was such a big mechanical room. Probably the only place that might be an exit is that light at the end of this room. You have to go through the darkness in the middle of the room, but there's some natural light coming in from this glassy area, presumably on the other side of the building. Is that the way you want to go, or start backing away towards?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I think with the situation,
Whee!
yeah, I think that would probably count as a hide also. You're not hiding, but you're just trying to not draw attention to yourself and move away. So let's go ahead and roll that for you. So that's you're moving towards the other end of the building. Roll plus clever.
All right, that's a +2. I got a 12 total.
Great. All right, so I'm going to say you make your way without drawing any attention at all, and you're going to be pretty close to that other end of the building when we pick up with you next. So Robbie, we left you with this strong connection to this Deinonychus. You have this opportunity to give it an order. What do you think you do?
And one of the dinosaurs is on Alex. Is that correct?
Yeah, Alex, do you let out any sound or anything when you come face to face with this especially large, dangerous-looking Deinonychus?
I mean, there's going to be a lot of clips screaming and grunting from trying to dodge left and right from whatever attacks the dinosaur makes.
Right.
So I'm sure I'm pinned, but I'm not hurt. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think you hear Alex. Maybe he's backs out, and this large Deinonychus knocks him down. So maybe he slides back into the frame, because he's been knocked down by this this particularly large Deinonychus that's pursuing him.
Yeah. So I think Jules would. He's not going to keep things. He's going to keep things very simple for these Deinonychus. And so the one he has this connection with, he's going to indicate that that is a grave threat, right? Like that serious threat that needs to be attacked, right? Is what he's directing this Deinonychus to.
So it turns, it lets out this hiss, and it screeches and runs and bowls, or what's it? It runs right into this larger pack mother, knocks her down, and they start to scramble, fighting each other with tooth and nail. And the other two in the doorway seem to pause and kind of look like, they tilt their heads, like very confused at what in the world is going on, at this moment. But Maggie says, "It won't last long. Run, go." And she pulls out her gun and she starts to shoot at the two in the doorway. Jessica, we already have you kind of that way. Alex, you've gotten to your feet. What do you do? That's you, Matthew.
Sorry, the mute button was sticking. Yeah, so I try to regroup. Like if Jules has no, you know what? Since Jules sends the dinosaur flying against the other one, I suppose I can perceive that there's an expression in his face that, indicates he had some part in it. So I was thinking, when I get up, I sort of back up and line myself up with Jules.
Okay.
And
Salvador Troy. Go ahead.
Alex asks, what the hell was that?
You can have like a Arnold Schwarzenegger quip if you want to respond, but not much more than that in this tense moment.
I think Jules says, "I think I speak their language."
Okay, good.
That's pretty good,
Salvador, yeah, that's real good. Salvador Troy lets out a scream, and he goes running down, towards those windows at the other end of the building. He's out of here. And Maggie is, sending off short bursts. She's wounded one of them, but they're dodging and they're staying into the darkness. You're in extreme danger. And she says, "Get out of here. Jules, go."
I think Jules is a little bit torn, but I mean, ultimately what Maggie says, I think Jules always thinks that's like a good idea to kind of, Maggie never really steers me in the wrong direction. She always seems to, whatever she says is what she thinks is the best for me. So, I mean, obviously Jules feels a little torn because she's in this fight, but he's going to listen to what Aunt Maggie says.
Sure. All right. So you start to, I think it's the run part of our story now. So you start to run. Alex, do you follow or you got another plan?
Well, is there anything else in this room where I can learn more about what's going on? If not,
no, it's not really. If you were to do that, you're going to get eaten. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm keeping up pace then.
Okay. I think this is a group move, the run move. So when you do a group move together, the one with the weakest stat is the one that's going to make the roll for us. So which one of you has the weakest fit? This is run.
I know that I have a -1. This is like at the in our first.
Yeah, I think you both have -1, don't you?
I'm at one. I think.
I think in this. Oh, do you have a +1? On fit?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay. So Robbie's the lowest then here. All right, Robbie. So you're going to roll 2d6 at -1. Yeah, this goes right back to where we were our first few rolls of the game, right?
And once again, I rolled a 4, so it's
okay. Okay.
Is that the same number, Robbie?
I think it may be. Yes. I mean,
Sure.
I did it before. It was quite pathetic. Yes.
Okay. I'll explain this in a moment, but I'm going to mark another box on the Xenosaur escapes. And text. Red. No, not text. Freehand. Here we go. Okay, box 2 is marked off on our Xenosaur escapes. So you're going to run, and you're going to make it. You're going to make it. Alex, you're going to make it. Salvador Choi is not going to make it. As you turn to go, Salvador Choi is looking over his shoulder, and he runs full speed into one of these glass cylinders. He falls to the ground. The two of you don't even see him. You're in the dark. You're running, as fast as you can. He looks up, and one of those Deinonychus mouths is right there. Bam, chomps right on his face. That's the end of Salvador Choi. The three of you.
No ambiguity about his death.
What was that?
Sorry, no ambiguity about his death. That's for sure.
No. One of the GM moves in this is kill an NPC, just straight up. So NPCs don't have any hit points. So the three of you reach this. If we go back to the picture of this building, now you're on this glass atrium. You're inside this glass atrium. There's a doorway, like a glass door to the side. And the three of you are huffing and puffing as you've reached here. Jessica's already there. And you hear some gunfire from back behind you, Maggie doing her thing. And you see, I have a map just to kind of help us sort of think about this place. So you guys are right here now. You see my ping? And off to your left, there's this huge concrete containment facility with big bars, big steel bars that are all bent and out of shape. And you see that this concrete barrier is just barely holding on. And you hear a roar, and something large, a dinosaur shaped, rams into these bars, and they screech as they start to slide off of their foundations. And there are some smaller cages that are all ripped up and destroyed to the side. There's a helipad, which is sort of like on a metal. There's like a metal base that rises up a little bit, and there's like a helipad there off to the side. The far side of this plateau is a cliff. It's just an open cliff that goes out into the sea, 100 meters down below. And then there's a radio tower. This radio tower is made out of metal, imagine like a cell phone tower. And there's like a lift that would raise you up higher up in this radio tower. And then there's like several ladders that you could climb up along the side of it to go up also, because higher up, about 30 or 40 meters up, there's like a little hut, like a metal sheet metal hut that is like a little radio hut probably. And there's all kinds of antenna and dishes, around this hut. And there's like a tall spire, a metal, like a lightning rod that goes high up in the air above this hut. And that weird lightning that you guys have seen flashing in the sky, it like every few seconds, a lightning bolt strikes this lightning rod, and this weird bluish energy crackles down. And at the base of this, the ground level of this radio tower, there's all these, I'm going to call them capacitors. I don't know if that's what these would be, but some sort of like thing that they light up and they sort of rev up, and it like this lightning energy is creating some sort of energy that's powering this radio tower. Okay. There, of course, the wind is swirling here. It's dark. There's these dark roiling clouds overhead, those weird lightning flashes, the roar of the Xenosaur from that cage to your left, the gunfire behind you. It's not shown on the map, but there's various, boxes and like storage containers and stuff scattered around this field. Jessica, you've been here a few moments to kind of scan the scene. What do you do, or what do you say?
I guess I'm heading straight for the Radio Shack, just trying to, get the pickup coming.
Okay. So you guys come out, and Jessica's running, moving quickly over to the radio tower. Alex, what do you think you do when you come out?
I mean, everything's ready for us to leave, right?
I guess that's one way of putting it.
Unless I'm missing some detail in the entire description.
I mean, there's no obvious escape. There's no. Let me put it. The helipad. There's no helicopter on it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
empty.
When you
Yeah,
said the
maybe
helipad,
yeah. There's a helipad, but there's no helicopter.
Okay. God. Oh, so stressed.
If you want to think
Yeah,
a moment, maybe we can go to Robbie, see if he's got something. Robbie, you also come out and see this scene. What do you do?
Well, I think now that Jules has kind of tuned into this ability that he has, I mean, we're at an elevation, and he's thinking about the Ambipteryx birds, and I think what he does is goes over to the cliff and
oh my.
maybe calls out and sees if he can attract some of the, like, if there are any of these kind of flying dinosaur, Ambipteryx that have, right? He has that wound. He has a little wound that he received from those, to see if he could call some of them that may come in handy in this situation. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That works with our fiction. That's going to take a few minutes to cross this field and get to there, but we'll get back to you. You're on your way. Alex, what do you think, you two? You see these two kind of go, and Jessica goes kind of towards the radio tower, and Jules makes a beeline, kind of with new confidence, makes a beeline towards this cliff.
I definitely followed Jules because I'm not letting him out of my sight.
Okay. All right. So Jessica, you get to the radio tower, and like I said, it's there's like a lift that you can like step into, and like slide a little little door aside, and you should push a button and it'll lift you up to this radio tower, and then there's like little ladder rungs that you could climb up if you prefer, and then there's all kinds of like electrical activity here, like your hair stands on end when you get here, and there's that every 20-30 seconds there's that bzzz, and electricity hits that lightning rod. It seems to run down this tower and powers up these capacitors. There you are. What's your next step?
I'm gonna try to get into the control room.
Okay. In the control room, like I said, it's elevated. There's like a radio hut halfway up this tower. So do you want to like get into this little lift and push the button and it'll take you up, or do you want to start climbing one of these ladders that are on the side?
Yeah, I take the lift.
Okay. I don't think that's really a move. You know what? I think what we'll call it, let's have it be a run roll just to capture the whole moving across this field and also moving into this tower. So that's with fit, and I know you had a -1 on fit on your next fit roll. So roll your dice and add your fit, but then subtract 1.
It's a 6.
All right. So I think, yay. You move across this field, and you start to you go to get in. You go to move to get into this lift, and swooping down from the sky is one of these giant Quetzalcoatlus. And it's had its eye on you for a while. You look so juicy. And it comes down, it swoops, and it lands in front of you. It's maybe 10, 15 feet in front of you. It's blocking the way to this this radio tower. And these things are huge, and they got these long, like batwing arms, and they walk sort of like on their elbows. So it starts to sort of like come forward towards you with these elbows, and it's got these claws on the end, and it's got this huge beak. It's probably 10, 15 feet long beak that's snapping, and it's going to start coming at you. We'll come back to you in a moment. Robbie and Alex, you guys have reached the cliff, and I think, Robbie, it's time for you to do your special move. Then you're calling on your Ambopteryx friends. You're going to do that move. Just do it again. What will happen if you mess up?
So if I mess up, I'm thinking back to the first time I encountered them when I was starting to establish this connection, but then I think what's going to happen is that maybe another one of these Quetzalcoatlus will kind of intervene, right? That maybe, that the Quetzalcoatl gets drawn by the Ambopteryx, and so we'll have like an added have all these kind of bird dinosaurs that would be.
Yep, that sounds very reasonable. All right, let's roll them dice. It's plus steady, I think.
Yeah, which is a +1 for me. So let me here.
All right, that's a good hit. 7 plus. You slipped, hesitate, or cut corners. The DM will offer you a hard choice. Slipped, hesitate, or cut corners. Robbie, let me ask you this. They're going to come, and they're going to be sort of, under your sway. What are you hoping to do with them? That'll help me to figure out what happens here.
Now, I'm not aware of what's happened with Jessica, correct?
No.
But I do know that there's this Xeno dinosaur.
The Xenosaur?
The Xenosaur who's
nearby.
Making a racket.
Yeah.
And who I've had a vision of, right? I've had a vision before.
Yeah.
So this is probably, I would imagine that Jules would be with that vision, kind of realizing, oh, right, I kind of know. I think what he would probably be thinking about is getting, if he's able to do this, to get those Ambopteryx to distract and kind of somehow harry that Xenosaur, right, to kind of make it less likely that it would be taking a beeline to us.
Okay. Roll All right.
I have an idea that I could.
Yeah, shoot it at me.
Well, I mean, I think maybe I feel like my. I mean, it could be that my the Amboptrics come, but I feel like my hold on them is tenuous, and so
Right.
I have to subject myself to another injury in order to kind of seal the bond with the birds.
You know what? I'll tell you what. How about this? You can take control of them and have them go harass and distract the Xenosaur. But if it gets free, it senses you. It knows exactly where you are. There's no hiding from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come straight for you.
Okay.
You want to go with that?
Yep.
Okay. So the Xenosaur will come straight for Jules. And what I'm going to do to represent, this flock of Ambopteryx showing up and going into the pen that the Xenosaur in, which is over here, they swoop in, through these bars. They're going to distract it. I'm going to take one of the marks off of our clock. I'll take our clock back down one. How's that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Get back to that. So I should be able to just delete. Okay, so now we're just down to one X on the box. Alex, you see, you're standing there with Jules, and you see this flock of Ambopteryx. Maybe they come flying like from below the cliff, and maybe they have like their flock that they actually nest in this cliff face. So they come all flowing out of this cliff, and this 100, 200, whatever of these Ambopteryx fly up. They're these colorful. They've got these long. I think they have like these long tails, and I think, is it swifts? No, there's a bird that's like it. But anyways, they come flying up, and they sort of flock around Jules and squawk. It's sort of like a pleasant squawking, chirping, and then he looks really intent. Is there any obvious sign of you controlling them, Jules, externally?
I mean, maybe Jules tries to match their voice in some way, right? Yeah, I think that there would be some kind of sign, right? Like the voice, also probably some gesture to the Xenosaur area,
right? And they go, flocking that way, fly right into the cage, and you hear the Xenosaurs, like roaring and thrashing about, but it stops pounding against the cage, at least for now. Alex, so at least for a moment, it's a little quiet here. What do you think you do?
I sort of grab Jules's hand, sort of, almost out of shock and protection, but also kind of like wondering what's going on and all that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Maybe you look. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I look at him, and I look at him directly in the eyes, and I ask you, Jules, like, what did you do? How did you do that?
And I think Jules would go to that wound that he received from the Ambopteryx from earlier, and say, there's something about these wounds where I have a connection to this island, and when I've had a really close connection or brush with certain dinosaurs, I feel like I have some bond.
Okay.
How? I mean, yeah, we can cut that, but I'm just like how.
Yeah,
I mean,
I was gonna jump in. I don't want to have too long. So I think at that point, maybe you see Jessica backing up, and that Quetzalcoatlus knocking over some of these boxes, coming at Jessica. Jessica, you've got a Quetzalcoatlus looking to eat you. What do you want to do?
Did I already take a wound? Because I mean the move says that I take a wound on a
Which
miss.
one? The running across the field? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, the running.
Run. On a miss, you get injured, and the threat is still around. Yeah, so maybe the Quetzalcoatlus injured you. How do you think you've been injured? Yeah.
Probably got
So
clawed or bit or something.
maybe, you get thrown, knocked, into one of these boxes. You go toppling over, and let's say you have broken ribs. Just make a note of that.
All right.
Thanks for reminding me of that. But there you are. You're on the ground. Quetzalcoatlus is coming at you. You got a piercing pain on your side, but you can still move around and stuff.
I'm gonna try and hide, I guess. Just get out of sight of the thing.
Okay. Let me read it. Let's see. We hide from first. See where you're hiding. I'll say. How about you crawl and like zig and zag through and around and over all of these boxes that are stacked up, and try to find a spot in this field, like to lose it, so to speak, as you're zigging zagging through all these boxes, because it's much bigger. It's pretty awkward on the ground. It's terribly strong, but it's awkward. I'm imagining this is our second alien illusion in our game, but in Aliens at the end, like when Newt is crawling under like all of those grates up on the Sulaco, and the alien queen is stalking and picking up all of these grates to try to get at her. Similarly, that's what this Quetzalcoatlus is does. It's pushing all these boxes, and you're trying to like stay one step ahead, zigging and zagging. So let's call that a hide. So why don't you roll plus clever?
I got a 12.
Nice. So you indeed, you lose it. It looks around. You've hid in one of these storage containers, and it squawks in frustration. It goes off the wrong direction, and it alights. It takes off back up into the air. And Jules and Alex, I think you saw the end of this. You saw it take off. And maybe you even, I'm going to say you saw where Jessica went. So you guys can kind of reconnect if that's what you want. So let's bounce back to Robbie. What do you think you do?
Yeah, and I mean we don't see a helicopter on the heliport. So yeah, I think Jules would say I don't know. Doesn't seem any purpose of going over there, right? And he's seen the Embidopter going after the cage. So I think, yeah, he would head over to the tower.
Sure. Okay. Let's have the three of you kind of reconvening now. You're at the radio tower, unless anybody has a strong feeling about doing something different. But otherwise, let's have the three of you meeting now at that tower again. And like I said, there's like ladders that you can climb up on the side, or you can take this like electric lift up to the radio hut. There's only room for like one person in the lift.
all right.
What do you think you want to do? Alex, maybe for whatever reason you take the lead and you say, let's do X. What do you think you say?
I mean, yeah, let's do this.
Sure. Which one of you guys would know the most about radios? Knowing our characters?
I think Alex would know a bit about radios on at least a bare minimum level because on the few forays into the field, maintaining proper radio equipment is necessary. So, you know, that's
Okay,
important to. Yeah.
that sounds reasonable. So Alex, do you want to climb up or do you want to ride in this lift?
Whew. Well, there's only one. Is climbing like what? Is this stairs or are we doing like
It's like a ladder. You know how like a cell phone tower or an electrical tower they always have, or like even any sort of tower really. For maintenance guys to climb, they always have that ladder that's kind of scary that's stuck to the side of it. That you can climb up. High up in whatever the tower might be, whether it's a water tower or whatnot, something like that. So
Alex would rather take the ladder rather than be trapped inside a lift.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Okay. You're going to climb this ladder then. It's a pretty high climb. So I think we're going to say that this is going to be, you're not going to like fall or anything, but maybe you'll get worn out or maybe something bad will happen as you go. So I'm going to have you hold on to your butt when you rely on sheer physicality to power through. Roll plus fit.
It's a Lara Croft moment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I reached for my physical dice for some bizarre reason, even though the digital dice are right in front of me. Let's see, 2d6 with a fit of 1. What do we got? We got a 7. Oh wait, what?
Did you roll? Did you roll the physical dice or the? It looks like you rolled on roll 20.
Oh yeah, no, it's 3. Sorry, the scroll window didn't update.
You got a 2 and a 1, so you got a 3. Your fit.
4.
You probably don't have plus 4 fit, right? So I think what happens is, you hear the roar of the Xenosaur, and all of those Embopteryx go screeching, fearful screeching out of that cage, and they like scatter to all directions. And again, there's that loud clang of the Xenosaur pounding against that cage. Let me put another mark in.
Ooh. Where's that clock?
Right. It's on the map in the upper right. I think we're on that page. Yeah. Oh no, I moved it. Here we go. Here you go. Okay, so you do get to the top though, and there's a small, like a little hut. It's kind of open to the weather. I guess probably wouldn't be in case of rain. So maybe there's some glass windows on each side, and there's radio equipment all about, and it's powered up. It seems to be in working order. You want to sit down and try to. What do you try to do? I guess.
Absolutely, just try to get. While it's in working order, I guess get someone on the horn.
So you look at it. It's much more sophisticated than anything you ever saw. But you start flipping some buttons. You start, twirling some knobs, and you hear some static. Let's do another roll. Let's do Just Do It. This is something you usually can do, but this is sophisticated equipment, and you're under pressure. So roll Just Do It. So roll plus, what is that? Steady.
Steady. Here we go. My one weakness.
Your -1?
Yep.
8 minus 1 is only a 7. That's not bad. You avoid that miss. Just do it. You slipped, hesitated, or cut corners. The DM was going to offer you a hard choice. So, yeah, I think I know what this is. So you do indeed you hear a voice talking, but it's in English, but it's got an accent of. What nation do you want to pick? What foreign nation, what enemy of the United States, is this accent? What language is it that a nation that's opposed to the United States?
I would say it's a Russian accent. It's up to you whether
Okay.
this person is from the Cold War or just now.
Sure. Okay, so it's a
Yeah.
Russian. It's a man's voice, fairly harsh man's voice with an accent, Russian accent. Sounds like Putin, and they're
Oh my God.
attention, mysterious island. Any survivors? Pick up. Over.
Well, we're in just as much a predicament as anybody else, assuming this. And you know what? I pick up.
Okay. What do you say?
I say we are survivors from the island. Um, uh, we are desperately seeking rescue. Who is this?
This is General Andropov of Secret Service. We are here to pick up survivors. Are you CAD Core survivors? Do you have information on Dinosaur Project?
Ooh, mm, we we are not with CADCore.
Do you have
We are
information that would be of service of Glorious Nation? Sorry for the stereotypes.
the fact that you made him sound like Putin makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We are authorized
Nope.
to pick up survivors that will be of use to us. Others
Oh
are to
my-
be left to their fate.
I have no idea what we're gonna do about this guy. I'm just saying out of character.
Sure. Well, think about it. Let's bounce back down. Let's bounce downstairs for a moment. Think about your response to General Andropov. So Jules and Jessica, you're there. Jessica, you're probably like hunched over. Your ribs are killing you. Jules, like I said, you're feeling this confidence, but you feel this brooding malevolence directly, at you like a dagger, coming from that across the field. There's that structure, that huge structure that's rapidly collapsing. Alex is up there. You don't know really what's going on. A few minutes have passed. What have you guys been doing, or what do you plan to do now?
I do.
I was thinking Jules would be, I think, looking over to where the Xenosaur is, and also kind of trying to get a sense of how the Ambidopteryx are faring. And I think the third thing is just kind of assessing the lay of the land, right? Trying to see if this big dinosaur that I saw in a vision comes out, like where would be the best, the safest place to be.
Okay. Jessica, what do you have anything to add?
No, I'm most just nursing my ribs,
Sure.
waiting to hear some.
Well, it's probably a loose interpretation of the use of this move, but let's do it anyways. Lay of the land. So you do have a bit of a quiet, there's imminent peril, but you're not in immediate peril. So let's go ahead and you'll have the safety move, a lay of the land. Robbie, do you have any stories left, or have you done them all now?
I think I have another story.
All right. Well, figure out a way to spin your last story and tell us a story, and then we'll roll lay of the land.
All right. So let me see what I have left. It's the kid. Here it is. So What I'm secretly scared of. I think that Jules is thinking of Maggie, and he's obviously worried about Maggie and whether she's going to come through this okay. But I also think that he's like, maybe even saying out loud, and I hope that Maggie's okay. But it's also, I'm secretly scared that Maggie is somebody very different than what I mean, there's kind of like something underneath all of this where Jules is scared that Maggie is not really who she says she is, or the way that she presents herself to him. And he can't quite put his finger on it, but he has kind of realized that there's something, there's something hidden and mysterious about Maggie. And he is very scared that there actually is some kind of dark secret that she is withholding from him.
And before we roll, would Jessica have a response to that, Kyle?
No, I don't think I ever actually learned any secrets. Maggie asked me to take care of him, but didn't actually tell me much about what his deal was.
Yeah, maybe you say that much though, because that's definitely true. That Maggie had come to him or come to her and said, take care of him. How do you think? What does Jules feel or say about that when he learns that Maggie has talked to Jessica?
I think he pauses and says, "I don't understand. Like, she doesn't know you. Like, why would Maggie try to put my safety in your hands?"
I mean, she doesn't have a lot of options. It's me or Alex, and I don't know. I guess I seemed better for some reason. I lasted this long, at least.
She's a survivor, right? Okay, that sounds real good. Let's roll them dice, see what happens. This is plus clever, I think. Lay of the land.
Okay.
All right, that's a 12.
Yeah.
All right, so tell you about 2 landmarks, 1 natural, 1 man-made that you can see. Okay, so in doing this, maybe you're looking pensively, you're looking around, you're talking as you're looking out off this cliff into the distance. You don't really want to look the way towards the Xenosaur because it's terrifying. And you see down below first of all, you see a trawler, not a fishing trawler, but like a smuggler trawler, the one that you arrived on, the island. And it's coming around sort of like a, what's the word? It's coming around like a part of the island. I can't think of it. Anyways, it's coming around a part, so you can see it now. And it's out to sea, but it's not super far. And you see it coming around. And then you look down below and looking down at the boat as it comes around, you see that down below at the base of the cliff, there's it looks kind of like almost like a calm pool, like the way the rocks or formations are down below. There's this wide open pool down below, and it's almost, it seems to shield it from the the stormy waves that are blowing against the coast or against the shore. But there's this fairly calm area right at the base of this cliff. Let's cut back to Alex. So there you are. General Odropov has said, we're authorized to pick up any survivors that have information that would be of use to the Russian nation.
Hmm. I am really tempted to spin the dial again, but
Sure.
um, let's. Whew, but that feels like a dramatic cop out. So I'm just going to say yes. We do have information,
Okay. He says,
and
excellent. Go ahead.
no, I'm just hedging my bets here. That's all. Sorry, hedging my bets.
He
I'm
says,
just.
he says, excellent. The helicopters are en route. We will be at helipad in 5 minutes. Be ready. And then, the channel goes dead.
All right, and I quickly rush down the ladder
Okay.
as fast as one can.
Sure.
I mean, I don't have
Sure.
gloves, so I'm not sliding down that thing.
Right. Again, you're not going to fall to your death or anything, but let's do another roll just to see if anything else happens. Let's call it hold on to your butt again. So roll plus fit.
All right. Mm-hmm.
I think you had a +1 fit, if I remember.
Yep.
All right,
And that's
Matthew. That's a 6. All right. Okay. So what happens is, it takes you. You're feeling worn out. This has been a rough couple hours, especially the last 15 minutes or so. You're feeling worn out, and you go to come down, and you lose your grip. You just you lose your grip, and you fall the last. Like I said, you're not going to die, but you fall the last 6 or 7 meters. We'll say that's quite a bit, isn't it? 20. Would you die if you fell 20 feet? I don't think so, but you would get injured. So let's say that. So you fall, and you crash to the ground, like right in between where Jules and Jessica are. And you're going to suffer an injury. You're going to get, you're going to have a sprained leg. Okay. Sprained leg. Jewel, or, I'm sorry, what?
that doesn't include my injury from the concussion because that was treated, right?
Oh, you did already have that, didn't you? So, well, I better stick with what I said. You know what? No, let's do this instead, because I kind of like this better anyways. You almost slip and fall, but you catch yourself. But just at that moment, as you're slipping, the camera cuts, and we see Maggie coming out of that glass atrium, firing the last of her bullets. And a Deinonychus leaps out, knocks her down, and it's reaching back to, rip her throat out. And she has that red button little handheld thing. And she's, you guys don't hear it, but the camera hears her say, "Forgive me, Jules." And she pushes the button, the red button. And as the Deinonychus, we see the Deinonychus close up as it strikes forward, to kill her. The whole building blows up. It explodes, dramatic Michael Bay explosion. And the concussion finally knocks over that rickety, knocked up, wrenched iron steel bars that were keeping the Xenosaur contained. And it comes out, and it comes out hunched over, and it comes up, and it's rears back and roars its most powerful roar, and it looks like this. And it's that giant size. It's one of those giant-sized Deinonychus, the Utah Raptor. It's got devilish red eyes, and it lets out this roar. And Jules, you feel it's joy at being free, at being able to finally come and get you. Okay.
It's called a Utah.
Alex, it's a Utah raptor. Yeah. It's about 25, 30 feet high, probably weighs about 5 or 6 tons. And it's agile, and it's fast, and it's smart, and it has huge long talons. It's the super dinosaur, the super xenosaur. Okay, it is finally free. Alex, we leave you hanging sort of precariously. This explosion has just gone off. There's chunks of concrete flying about. Jules and Jessica, you guys are in danger of a lot of things at this point. There's chunks of concrete flying around. There's a giant xenosaur that's now free. Jules, what do you do?
I look at as Jules decides what to do.
Not Alex, Jules. I'll get back to you in a minute. I want to hear what Jules has got.
All right, so just a couple questions. So Jules knows that the xenosaur is free now, correct?
Yeah, you all see and hear it.
And is Jules also aware that Aunt Maggie has gotten blown up in that? Well, I've seen the building get blown up for sure, right?
Yeah, let's say you did see her come out and shoot her last few bullets and then get knocked over and then suddenly explosion. So you putting one and one together, she could not have survived this.
I think Jules is going to go for an all or nothing ploy, which is he's going to yell at that xenosaur to come and get him. I mean, and you know, he's obviously very emotional. Part of that emotion is anger, right? Aunt Maggie is probably no more, and the xenosaur is a convenient target for this anger. Jules is going to we're close to the cliff, right?
Yep.
I think he's going to try to get that xenosaur targeting him right at that cliff. And he's going to try to see if he can get that xenosaur barreling on, and maybe at the last minute dodge. Maybe the ambidoctrix birds can also do something, that their home is near the cliff to kind of distract that xenosaur, but it's probably not, it's probably going to barrel towards me and hopefully not really smart and will hopefully go over the edge.
Right. Okay. That all fits in our lore. I think there's nothing more than it wants is to kill you as fast as possible. So all of that happens. It comes running at you. The Ambopteryx come flying. Those of them that are still around come flying in and sort of obscure its vision. You make a juicy target at the edge of this cliff. It comes at you. I think this is look over there. You're distracting it. When you create a distraction to protect a friend, you're protecting your friends. And I think we're going to have super high stakes on this. If you fail completely, you know what happens. If you succeed, you know what happens. All or nothing. So roll plus clever, Robbie. 5 plus 1.
We may be going over the cliff together or something.
That's right. I think that's exactly what happens. So Jules, all of that happens, and the xenosaur comes at you, and Jules, I'm going to have you go immediately to the casualty move. Okay, so the casualty move is when you're grievously hurt, you're in bad shape, tell someone your darkest secret or unfulfilled hope, then choose one. You get one final heroic act. So I think in this case, your heroic act would be to succeed and actually get the xenosaur to, go over with you. So if that would be your heroic act, I think is pretty clear. Or you could be out of commission, in which case you would not succeed. The xenosaur would still be active, but you would only be knocked out or something instead. So which one of those do you want?
Well, I think it's far better to do the heroic action, right? Okay. To kind of take it both of us are going off the cliff together then.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe right before you ran over to do this, you told the others your darkest secret or your unfulfilled hope. Go ahead and take a minute, have a little scene where you do that, and then we'll narrate what happened with you.
I mean, the unfulfilled hope that comes immediately to mind would be maybe some vision of me and Aunt Maggie on a boat going away from this island. I mean, but we know that is not the ending, right? I mean, that Maggie has gotten blown up in the building, and now, Jules is getting kind of carried over the cliff with the dinosaur. But there was that kind of glimmering hope that the two of them would somehow manage to find their way off the island together.
Right. Okay. That's good. So I think we've already kind of narrated it. So we laid it all out. Your plan was to get out of the way, but maybe you saw at the last moment that there was no way you're going to be able to dodge this super huge, agile, intelligent thing. So you just stood there and sacrificed yourself, and it barged into you, and the two of you go toppling off this cliff to splash far below. I'm tempted to have that kind of be maybe just go to denouement sort of stuff at this point. Jessica and Alex, do you guys have any, the danger is over. The helicopters are coming. I think we kind of laid out that instead you could jump off the cliff and maybe swim out to the boat. I'll leave it to you guys. How do you kind of want to narrate the end of our story? And then we got one other role we do.
Cliff diving to the boat. That sounds good.
You want to do that? Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that makes more sense.
Right. So the two of you, jump off this cliff, and we see you being pulled into the boat by the smuggler, and maybe the smuggler is who's that actor from Jaws that drives the fishing boat? You guys have seen Jaws, right?
Was that Richard Dreyfuss?
No, not Richard. The gritty one.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's name, but that guy. So this gritty smuggler pulls you up, and you're sitting on this boat, looking out with a cup of coffee and a blanket, and looking at the island as you see the explosions at the top of this cliff, and you move away maybe into the mist as you see these black helicopters come swarming in. Unfortunately, thankfully, the Russians aren't going to get you or get the information, though. Okay, so there is one last move we do in this game, which kind of lays out your epilogue. It is called, where is that? One moment. It is called the denouement. So this is why you've been doing those stories all game. So what we do now is we go around and each of you rolls 2d6 plus the number of stories that you've told. Jessica, let's start with you. How many stories have you told?
1.
Okay, so roll 2d6 and add 1.
Seven.
Okay. Describe something, an image or memory you will carry with you from your time on the island.
Probably just the memory of my shack, just the way I just sort of hold up in there and hid from all the serious noises out there.
Sure. And this isn't in the move, but I'm just curious, what do you think is Jessica's future?
Running, hiding, laying low.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you access that information that Maggie gave you?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. You don't trust it.
Just trying to put it all behind me.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. All right. Alex, how many stories did you tell?
Throughout this entire session, or does the campaign? Five.
All three games together. Yep. Okay. So roll 2d6 plus 5. You're going
All
to get
right.
7 no matter what.
See, 2d6 plus 5. Mhm. That is a 9. Sorry, 12.
Yep. Okay. 12. Describe something good that happens to or because of you as a result of your time on the island.
Mm. What happens is that Alex becomes braver and more like willing to go out there, and her career, which was on track to be stalled by her reluctance to get out there, significantly improves due to the lessons and the resolve she earned from being on the island.
Okay. Does she go on to be a famous paleontologist? Does she give it up?
She What happens is that she sort of like still lays low, but she becomes reputed, at least in the circles, for someone who can get things done. You know, not necessarily willing to take credit for it, but at least willing to get paid well to find the truth.
Okay. And what does she tell people about what happened to Salvador Choi?
She doesn't.
Okay. She just clams up when that comes up.
Yeah,
Sure.
for use in a future
Okay.
session.
Right. All right. And Jules, roll 2d6 plus the number of stories you told.
All right. So I think I told 4. And let's see.
All right. Looks like an 11. Let's see. Never to return. On a 10 plus, choose one player to say a positive impact you had on the world. Choose one of these guys to tell the positive impact you had on the world.
I choose one of the other players, and I'm telling.
Choose one player to say a positive impact you had on the world.
Mhm.
I think. Well, I mean, it could be both, but I mean, since Maggie had kind of entrusted Jessica with taking care of me.
Okay. You want to pass that to Kyle then?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kyle, tell us a positive impact that Jules has had on the world.
In that case, I guess I pass along whatever information Maggie gave me to some sort of reporter or leak it to someone to try to like get the news
Okay.
out there.
So we see news reports. Maybe Jessica's this sort of wandering nomad, trying to keep out of the radar of the government or whoever, CADCOR. And maybe you're looking through. You're at a pizza shop somewhere, eating a slice of pizza, and you see on the television, news comes up that the government has broken up CADCOR for unethical experiments on human subjects, alleged unethical genetic experiments, and links. Evidence suggests that there's links and high-level figures in the U.S. government. More news at 11. So how's that sound? And I think we'll end. We see a inside a white-walled building and we see 6 children sitting around a table staring ahead, and we go around and they all have that brown hair but with those light brown streaks that Jules had, and they all have those CAD-core tattoos, behind their ears, and we fade to black. Okay.
Yeah.
The end. All right, grab a breath. I'd be very happy to hear your feedback about this game. Roses and thorns. We'll go around. Roses are things, you want to put a star on something you like about the game, about the players, about how we did it, things that tickled you, just nice things. And thorns are constructive criticism, things that you think could have gone different or gone better, things about the game itself that maybe don't quite mesh or you think could be done differently. I'm excited about all of that kind of feedback. So think a minute. I'm going to grab a quick sip. Alex, before we jump into that, you're saying you know what the sequel would be? What do you think the sequel would look like?
Oh, well, whichever group of characters ends up being rolled for, let's say, a hypothetical session that follows this one, at least one character is part of like some sort of special bureau or special agency that is looking into, dinosaur situations, and that person would have to sort of like recruit either Jessica or Alex into the fold.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And Alex or Matthew, you also said that the pizza that Jessica's eating has sriracha on it. So that's a good what do they call it when you pull something back from early in the story? Callback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Kyle, start us up. You want to do a rose, a thorn? You want to pass? What do you got?
I guess I'll pass.
Okay. Alex, Matthew, you got any roses or thorns?
Yeah. For the roses, like this entire game has been very fun. I really like the buy-in that everybody has for all the tropes and all the goofiness and all the serious high-stakes stuff as well. Yeah, and I think the system, as I said before, really captures the thing. I just think that maybe it might be lacking in a few mechanics to incentivize the ability to balance the story on the knife's edge of exploration and high stakes chase stuff. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, not exploration. Exploration was well covered. I think investigation was lacking. So for me personally, I felt like as Alex, I wanted to investigate more things, but I didn't like the moves incentivize that. Maybe there's another playbook I didn't look at that has that those moves to support that. But I definitely couldn't imagine the idea of Alex being all like, gonna look into this computer, beep, boop, 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 and see some files or whatever. Like I couldn't rationalize it narrativistically, and I also felt like there was no reason for her to just sort of wander the halls aimlessly and sort of like find the information that might be interesting to her. But other than that, I think the game really supports some of the other modes of play that are. It's just a weird like small gap, is what I think.
Yeah, a lot of PBTA games have a sort of in the moment observation type move, and this one doesn't have that, or an investigation. It has the safety moves, but those require the moments to be kind of safe. So I know earlier on in the game when we had the Deinonychus attacking you guys in the lab, you wanted to like see if you could figure something out, and there's not really a move in the game to capture what you were trying to do there. So I think if I understand what you're saying, I understand that frustration there. The game doesn't really have that move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to put a finer tune on it, the study situation type move that we have there is only for safety. So whenever you use it, it sounds like, all right, I'm going to stand still and get attacked.
Right.
Yeah.
And we did, I think, as we played, as usually happens, I'm sure with most people that play PBTA games, you end up twisting and shaping moves to fit your story when the game comes up short. So we had several of those where I'm like, well, I don't know if it really fits here, but let's do this anyways. I think that's common, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, if there was adding a more acute sort of in the moment observation investigation move might be a good thing to do. So yeah, I hear you on that.
I think the
Robbie,
big
you got
question.
any? Go ahead.
Sorry,
What was that,
sorry.
Matthew?
I think the big question mark I have over the system is how willing is it to engage in that? Because then it's not an oversight. It becomes like, oh, this is actually supposed to be more like what some of the later Jurassic Parks do, which is just chase, 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 tension, tension, chase, 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 and that's fine.
Right.
Like, and it becomes more like, you ever played the video game Ark Survival Evolved? Like, it's kind of like that. Like maybe the whole game's whole superstructure needs to pull back away from the mystery stuff and just be one complete thrill ride. And anyway, that's all I had to say for now. I want to let Robbie talk.
Right. Okay, Robbie. You're muted.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things I really enjoyed about the game. I mean, I feel like the kind of character type of the kid. There was that one move, right? That it was, the first two sessions I didn't have it right locked in, but then it was very satisfying to kind of have that kind of thing, and it kind of really made sense narratively. And I like playing those kinds of characters that don't necessarily start out with an ability that is just like, shining there with neon lights saying this is a really useful thing, but you kind of have to figure it out. And you were really pushing the roles on this last session, which was great because I think it pumped up, right? It kind of was in keeping with the kind of action. And, I think that the dice were wonderful tonight. Mm-hmm. They were, a lot of them were at either extremes, which was kind of making the game very fun. And I think ended up making for a kind of story that was really exciting. Thinking about the kind of, I don't know, roles for investigation are always so tricky, right? I think in a game. Partly because you think about, right, what the failures end up meaning, and right, it's like you don't get the information or whatever. But yeah, I think it would be worth, because the game, the title of the game suggests that it's ultimately about escaping from the island, but it does have built into it this idea that there is something odd going on with some corporation and something on the island. So I think it is pushing for that kind of investigation side of things, and probably could use a little bit of tightening in terms of that aspect of the game. And I think the game, for what it is, I think as anything from a one session to up to maybe a 4-session game is nice and tight. I think I think it does a pretty good job of kind of thinking about the kind of genre that it's working in, and kind of coming up with a kind of trying to give you a system that will kind of work within that kind of tight constraint.
Right. Yeah, and the game tells you pretty much, have mysteries, but don't keep the secrets. If the players pushed for them, give it to them. And today, in the beginning of the session, when you sat down, you're like, I want to talk to Maggie. I'm like, well, she could be evasive, and I was still pretty evasive, but I made a point of being like, okay, I'm going to tell him quite a bit though. Let's get it out there. We don't want to get to the end of the game and have too many questions. And I think it all goes back, and you were referring to this quite a bit, Robbie, is the game's trying to emulate these kinds of movies, these kinds of television programs and these kinds of movies. So you want it to be cinematic. So you want answers. You want a satisfying finish. You don't want to have too many question marks at the end. So I hope you guys didn't have too many. I don't feel like I got all the little bits and pieces out, but I think we got most of it more or less out. Enough. I was really pleased, Robbie, rose to you that you were able to pick up on where, the crumbs I was putting out, and to pick on that power that you developed, the ability to sort of control or manipulate the dinosaurs. That was exactly perfect for the kinds of things I was trying to lay out there. So I'm glad I'm glad that we were on the same wavelength on that part for sure. How do you guys feel? I'm going to just ask you this and then we'll let you go. It's 11. How do you feel about the plot? I mean, I know I got into this crumb of an idea and I bounced it off, between weeks with Robbie. I'm like, maybe you've been brainwashed. I didn't say brainwashed because I didn't want to give too many spoilers, but basically you were brainwashed. You were some sort of experiment. And, are you comfortable with that? Because, it kind of lays out a lot of your backstory and stuff kind of out of your control. How did you guys feel about the plot and how it played out? Was it interesting? Did it make sense? Any feedback on those questions?
I think for my sake, I thought it was genuinely interesting. I thought it played out, and the timing of when it played out was very, very cool. I think maybe, like you said, you didn't get all the pieces out there, but at the same time, my imagination is vivid enough to sort of fill in the gaps for it. Would I have liked to see it play out more? Would I have liked to be able to explore all of that more? Absolutely, but it doesn't reflect, I think, negatively on the actual experience.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you very much. It was a lot of fun game. I wanted to put out a game in December that was quick and easy and fun, action-packed. It didn't require a lot of brain power. Like I said, as I always do, I put more brain power into it than I probably should have, but I had a great time. It was a fun game. I'm sure I'll cross paths with all you guys in the future. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Be safe, everybody.
Bye.